So for my family genealogy report, I decided to do it on my great-great-grandfather, who was a famous man, Captain Archibald Witwicky. Very famous explorer. In fact, he was one of the first to explore the Arctic Circle, which is a big deal. In 1897, he took 41 brave sailors straight into the Arctic shelf.
That's right. This week we're doing something a little different, as we're taking on the franchise that is still making sequels, but all the fans keep saying they want to see it a different way. Well, if that's the case, let's see if we can remake Transformers right. Hello, my fellow cinematic architects, and welcome to Remake This Movie Right. We are a member of the Hollywood Outsider Network. We listen to episodes of Remake This Movie Right on iTunes. Reviews are appreciated. Please leave one if you are listening and you like it. Your podcast type of choice, or just visit the website at remakethismovieright.com. Remake This Movie Right is a show that takes an original film that has an actual remake in the works, usually. Figure out what still clicks and what doesn't, throw a little bit of humor at it, and then we determine exactly how Hollywood should remake it. By the end of each episode, we will have the remake ready to roll for Hollywood execs and presented to you in movie trailer form. We're here to tell Hollywood how to remake this movie right. I am your host, Darren Peterson, and joining me today, you remember him from our Rings episode, and he's a host of the Hollywood Outsider, John Davenport.
Bawe Grana, Bawe Ninibom, Aaron.
I don't know what that meant.
It's a universal greeting.
Oh, all right. Well, that's cool. Well, thanks for that. Apparently, you just pointed out that I don't know it. And you might not know his voice, but he's been a behind-the-scenes player since the podcast began, and he can literally turn into a Camaro at will. Rob Rowald?
Hi there.
It's the creepiest hi I've ever heard. All right, well, for this episode, we are remaking Transformers. What, you might ask? How can we do a remake of a movie that actually has a sequel coming out in a couple months?
And like 14 planned.
That's true. Well, the answer is because fans keep saying they don't like the direction Michael Bay is taking it, so screw it. Let's make our own damn movie. Transformers, the 2007 film, followed Sam Witwicky as a teenager getting his first car, and it's back when Shia LaBeouf was normal. He possibly had the most amazing first car ever, by the way, as it transforms into a giant robot. It turns out Sam's grandpa has a location of the Allspark etched into his glasses. His pappy glasses had the actual location etched in.
Which Sam was trying to hawk on eBay.
Yeah, don't blame him. I get it. Sam needs to pay for that car so he can get that girl. But what an Allspark is, it's a mystical talisman that would grant unlimited power to whoever possesses it. Optimus Prime and Bumblebee join up with Sam and friends to take on Megatron and Starscream before they get to the Allspark and rebuild Earth in their own image. Wow, that's a lot. I didn't realize so much happened in that movie. I just thought it was a bunch of things transforming and stuff blown up.
There was no mention of lens flares and explosions.
Or just Megan Fox running all the time.
Oh.
Easy. Easy. By the way, anybody else notice that her name is very similar to Michael Bay? Her name is Michaela Baines. Just
things
That's actually creepy now that you mention it.
Just saying.
things that make you go,
Yeah. I think it was a nod to him, but it's a creepy nod if it is. So let's go to that. All right, let's talk about your initial thoughts. The first time you saw the movie, and you can actually talk about this movie, the sequels, or the cartoon, wherever your heart takes you. Rob, let's take with you.
So I'm coming from a different angle. I grew up with the cartoon. Well, I didn't really grow up. I was probably a teenager when it first actually started. But I remember the cartoons. And actually, before I did this podcast tonight, I actually watched the first 3 episodes of the original cartoon just so I could refresh my memory about how bad it was.
What was the cartoon? You thought it was bad now?
Well, I mean,
in hindsight.
At the time, I thought it was great.
Freaking amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah, I was what was I? 13 when the cartoon came out, so I was pretty much over the Transformer toys at the time, but I still like animated stuff, so I was watching it. I think Michael Bay could have taken cues from the original cartoon for his movies. So.
Yeah. So when you first saw it, was that something that hit you? Like, it's not what I remember?
Right. It wasn't what I remembered, but that's not to say it wasn't good. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the first Transformers movie. I thought it was great. I have very little negative that I can think about for that movie. I mean, it was fun. So.
All right. Johnny, what about you?
Well, I did do a lot of my growing up with the Transformers cartoon. I'm slightly younger than the two of you, only slightly. And so when I was growing up, there was two things that really meant the world to me. One of them was Optimus Prime, and the other one was Luke Skywalker. And I kind of built my life around how much I loved the two of them. Mm-hmm. So I was crazy when it came to Transformers. Yes, when you look at them now, they're terrible, but there's some good depth to them. If you look for it, you have to really search for it. And as the series got older and older with us, they did develop some more backstory when they came to the different worlds. When they went to the cartoon movie, the cartoon movie was something that absolutely devastated me as a kid because my hero actually died in it. It was rough, but one of my favorite things of all time is Transformers.
Of all time, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, then we'll just hand this over to you, and you can just take it for the rest of the road.
So when you say one of your favorite things of all time, do you mean the media version or just like the toys and everything in general?
The toys I can take or leave. I was more into the story.
Gotcha. See, I was more like the toys.
Yeah, I like the toys. I'm like, oh, it turns in, and then you see a car. Why can't you turn into something?
Yeah, why is my car such a piece of garbage? Why doesn't it transform into a cool robot?
Doesn't do anything except beg for gas. You piece of crap. I love the cartoon. I didn't like the cartoon movie for the same reason that John was devastated. Because at the time, you're killing off my hero, man. I mean, half the reason I go to these movies is Optimus Prime. Why? Mm-hmm. I don't know, because he's like my grandpa. It's not like... he's not a young Luke Skywalker-ish hero. He was like
he was the
Ben Kenobi, yeah. And killing him was very tough, and it made me not like that movie, even though I actually think the movie's pretty decent. But this one, the first Transformers, I love. I actually legitimately love that movie, even though I don't know what the hell is really going on. I mean, a lot of the plot devices are kind of ridiculous. The whole glasses thing is silly. But I thought Shia LaBeouf was great. I thought he was actually great. Like, legitimately, wow, this guy's going to be a movie star. He's so unique and different. He's, like, cool, but kind of weird and geeky at the same time.
I wouldn't say cool.
Well, to me, he was.
He was great in the movie, and he played that character so well. But yeah, he played the kind of downtrodden nerd very well.
Very anxious and just bonkers. But also, he understood the gravity of the situation. He understood the depth of what he was into. And the moment where Megan Fox and he are debating whether or not to get in the car in like 50 years from now, do you want to... I think that's a great moment. Do you want to wish you had gotten in the car? I thought that was a great moment for a cheesy toy movie. I thought that was just a cool...
It was kind of a touching scene.
Yeah, it was a touching scene. So I really love it. And the cars were awesome. The movie was great. The action was great. They even made Tyrese seem like a badass. I mean, everything clicked. John Turturro seemed kick-ass.
I loved John Turturro's character in this movie. Of course, I like him because he always plays that kind of weird, kind of, I'm serious, but I'm kind of really quirky kind of character. And I think he played it very well. I mean, that character suited him to a T.
Yeah. It was good.
The movie gave us something that we really needed at the time, which was just big robots smashing each other. And it was, that part of it was fun. And for me, the experience in the theater was fantastic because I am nearly positive that was the last time that my big circle of friends all went to the movie together to go see something. After that, it was... people dwindled off from that big circle of friends as far as going to the movies together, and that was the last time.
Well, now I feel kind of jealous because I never had a big circle of friends.
It's a small circle.
It's like 3 or 4 people that don't hate me.
Is this going to turn into a sad thing? No. Oh. I saw this movie with my kids, and it was great. So I loved it. It's a great memory. I freaking loved it. Let's get into what we love and what we didn't love, and why fans, especially we're going to get into why fans seem to have a problem with the movies as they go on. I'm betting 20% of it's Mark Wahlberg, but that's just a theory. I don't know if that's true. If you have any thoughts or a pitch on this week's show, if you have a better way to take Transformers, email us at remakeThisMovieRight@gmail.com. It's remakeThisMovieRight@gmail.com. Here's a clip from the original Transformers.
Whoa, nice headers. You've got a high-rise double-pump carburetor. That's pretty impressive, Sam.
Double pump?
It squirts the fuel in so you can go faster.
Oh. I like to go faster.
And it looks like your distributor cap's a little loose.
Yeah? How'd you know that?
My dad, he was a real grease monkey. He taught me all about this. I could take it all apart, clean it, put it back together.
That's weird. I just wouldn't peg you for mechanical.
Well, you know, I don't really broadcast it. Guys don't like it when you know more about cars than they do. Especially not Trent. He hates it.
Yeah, no, I'm cool with, females working on my engine.
Okay, now we've got some trivia, and you guys tell me if you've ever heard this, or if you think it's cool, or if you just don't care. For the scene where Scorponok, I hope I said that right, bursts out of the sand right on the heels of the soldiers, the effect was achieved by detonating a primer cord under the sand. The explosions would be in close proximity and very dangerous to the actors in the scenes, so before the scene was shot, Michael Bay told the actors to run and keep running no matter what happens, or else they would be seriously injured or possibly killed. As a result, the look of panic on the actors' faces as they flee is 100% genuine.
That's probably the best thing I've ever heard about that movie.
That's probably the best thing I've ever heard about Michael Bay.
And it totally seems like Michael Bay.
It
and
does.
I bet you he had a flag waving in the background. Oh, that's funny. Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, was also the voice for Mogwai and Gremlins, for Gizmo.
I knew that one.
Yeah.
He's also the original Optimus Prime.
Yes, he's also the original voice of Optimus Prime, which I thought was awesome that they brought him back for the movies.
If they didn't bring him back, would that have been a factor for you guys? Like as fans? Oh, John didn't even hesitate.
I think it would have been. It just wouldn't have been the same because, you're so used to the sound of the way Optimus Prime's voice was. If it had been some other actor, even if it had been close proximity of the original, you still would have picked it up and it just wouldn't have had the same feel. It wouldn't have that authenticity.
Yeah, it wouldn't be for me because if you look at Beast Wars, which had Optimus Primal, which was a relative of Optimus Prime to some degree, voiced by a different guy, I had trouble connecting with him because he was voiced by a different guy.
No, I get. What if Mark Hamill did it?
No.
Well, technically, that would be Luke Skywalker.
That's right. You said Luke Skywalker and Transformers were the two things that were seminal in your youth there. So,
and he does great voice work.
You know what? I would like to see him give it a try. How about that?
I bet you'd sound like the Joker. I bet it would.
Or
Gotta be terrible.
Or Trickster, or Harrison Ford. He does a good Harrison Ford.
He does amazing Harrison Ford.
Bumblebee's original alternate form in the Transformers movie was a Volkswagen Beetle that was revised to a 1976/2009 Chevy Camaro. That was because Michael Bay wanted to avoid comparisons with Herbie the Love Bug. Plus, Camaros are cooler. That's a proven fact.
If they had kept him as a Volkswagen Beetle, though, he would have been closer to the original in the cartoons when they were on Cybertron. He was a rounded vehicle. He wasn't a long, sleek vehicle.
Camaro.
Yeah, he was a little round guy who actually crawled inside one of the other Autobots when they were fighting with the Decepticons.
I didn't know that.
Bumblebee was always the damsel in distress.
Well, Optimus Prime's original Ultra Mode in Transformers was a cab-over truck. But this was revised to a bull-nosed Peterbilt, and that was because test designs showed a cab-over could only disguise a 20-foot robot, and so the larger Peterbilt was chosen to make Prime taller at 32 feet tall. I want to see exactly how they do tests of this. That cab-over is only going to make a robot about 20 feet. I think it's not going to make a 32-foot robot, guys. I just don't think so.
That sounds legit, actually. I could see that.
Really? How do you see that? I mean, it's not a thing. My car can't transform. I keep trying to get my Kia to do it. I keep slapping it.
Oh, come on now.
It down.
The mirrors fold in. That's transforming, right?
That is true. My mirrors do fold in.
Automatically.
Optimus Prime speaks his trademark motto, "Freedom is the right of all sentient beings," for the first time ever. It was not heard in the Transformers, but was mentioned, like in the early 80s, but was mentioned in the packaging for his original action figure back in the 80s. Now, John, did you know that?
No, I actually did not know that. I always thought it was something he always said in the cartoons.
Kind of a half-ass fan is what I'm getting.
I thought it was just something they did for the movie.
I did too.
The theme that Optimus Prime always had is he always looked out for the little guy no matter what. So it made sense. And I thought that was the whole thing. When he said it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what he kind of always did, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, even if he didn't say it, it was kind of an implied thing. That
it was implied.
Yeah, he was, he saw the Autobots as protectors of not only their own race, but of every race they encountered because he thought the strong should protect those who are weaker.
And he's right.
It is right.
We should all get out there and help people and transform if we can. Anyone?
I can transform.
Into what?
An asshole.
Fair. The Transformers possess such a rich level of detail and complexity, it took the ILM animators 38 hours to fill them in a single frame of the film.
38 hours.
That's crazy.
Well, but I mean, you got to realize that this was back in the 90s, right?
No, it was 2007.
No, 2009.
2007.
10 years ago.
So 10 years ago. Well, I mean, even 10 years ago, the graphics capabilities and the rendering engines were nowhere near as powerful as they are now. So, I mean, computers have taken a pretty big leap in the last 10 years.
Incredible. It's incredible. It even looks like it still holds up.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. The effects in the movie, as I was telling Aaron earlier, I watched it twice before we did this podcast so that I could have things fresh in my mind. The special effects in this movie are still spectacular 10 years later. It was, it's phenomenal. The way the robots transform and they've got the lighting and the shadowing on them, it's all CGI because obviously there's no such thing as a 32-foot tall transforming Peterbilt.
Obviously, you can't do it.
You can't do it.
20 feet's the
can't
most
do
you
it
can
with
do.
a 20-foot, yeah. It's spectacular. I mean, it still holds up. You could re-release the original movie in theaters and it would still hold up to anything that's out there now.
Now I kind of want to see this on the big screen again.
I kind of do too.
Do you? I bet you do because you're a big super fan. Next to the cartoon, like side by side, just back to back.
God, don't even. That'd
screen.
be a day.
He's like, that'd be a day. I just go to my fancy theater and drink beer and popcorn all day. I don't know how you drink popcorn. Don't ask me. So Michael,
the way Scotty does.
It'll blend.
It will. Michael Bay originally turned down directing the film, considering it a stupid toy movie. However, he wanted to work with Steven Spielberg and wanted to make the first family film of his career, and being a car buff, the idea of sentient cars interested him. He later admitted that not being a Transformers fan proved to be a blessing as it enabled him to introduce the saga to other non-fans. John, would you agree with that?
I think that's a bold-faced lie. Or bold-faced like fabrication to try to say, hey, I wasn't a fan before, but I'm kind of a fan now, and it's pretty cool. No.
Well, do you think it enabled him to introduce it to non-fans, though?
I don't think it did, because there was nothing that he gave us that would have drawn in non-fans. He gave us everything that would only have attracted fans. So because Michael Bay's name on it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to make more people go see it. That's not true.
Well, I mean, and could have never said that, and it would have been just as successful.
Right.
Transformers, even if you weren't a fan of the original cartoon or the toys or anything, you knew what they were. Mm-hmm. Everybody knew what the Transformers were. They were huge. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was a kid, when the new Transformers would be released in the stores, I had to go then see what ones they were. I couldn't afford them, but I had to go see what ones were there. Oh, wow. Now they've got these ones that are dinosaurs, and they've got these ones that are bugs.
And you play with them in the store, and then you leave. Quickly.
Or you shove them down a friend's pants.
What?
And he
What's
walks
the
out
statute
with
of
them.
limitations on this?
I'm not saying I did it. I'm saying it could have happened.
You saw people.
I saw things.
Read stories.
Read stories on the internet.
That's a good point. I was trying to think after reading that where exactly, because I do think he brought in people. I do think Michael Bay has a name that he does have a brand. He has fans, The Rock, Bad Boys, all that stuff. It added up to a community that wanted to see a movie he did, but I don't think it's enough to really transfer popularity or to overcome any stigmas from any. Basically, it's the Transformers. That's why everybody went. You could have had anybody direct it, and they would have gotten their opening day. Now, he made it a good movie.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you could have had anybody on the planet who was a director direct this movie, and because it was giant robots that transform from vehicles into giant robots, you would have had butts in the seat.
It helped.
Right.
And Shia was a draw at this time. I mean,
he was popular. He was coming off of
Disturbia, and he was building his name, and this kind of took him to the next level.
Yep.
And he was Mutt Lange. Well, I'm not going to talk about that. It just makes me angry. Okay, so we only got a couple more left, and then one more of this movie, and then we're going to, a couple of the cartoon, and then we're going to get into some things. When Optimus Prime takes on Megatron in their climactic showdown, he states that one shall stand, one shall fall.
Oh, my God.
Prime told Megatron the same thing when they clashed in the Transformers the movie. is in that feature, though, Prime was the one who fell, while in this one it was Megatron. Why did you say, oh no, John?
Because every time I hear Prime say those words, I know what's happening next.
Oh, Prime's going to die.
Death,
Yeah.
destruction.
Right. To be fair, when it happened in the cartoon, they both more or less died because, yes, Megatron kind of was dragged out of that fight where Optimus Prime died, but his own people threw him out of airlock as soon as they could.
That's true.
Threw him out an airlock. But would that really be effective for a creature that can fly through space?
That's a good question.
Throw him out an airlock.
They didn't think that one through very well, did they?
No, they really didn't.
Call the continuity, please.
In regards to the 86 cartoon, just two real quick. This was Orson Welles and Scatman Crothers' final film before their deaths.
Oh, wow.
Did not know that.
Yeah, that's a fun fact.
I didn't know Scatman Crothers was actually in the film.
Yeah, he's a voice of something. I don't remember what. I had it, and then I lost it.
He's one of the wreckers, I believe.
There you go.
Does he go skibidi-bidi-boo-bop?
Basically. He's the motorcycles that transform into people and they like ride each other. That sounded weird.
Yes, it did.
I'm not.
This doesn't feel like a kid's movie anymore.
Yeah. And then Leonard Nimoy was the voice of Galvatron.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of great talent in here, a lot of voice talent. Lastly, the movie was being produced by the same company and at the same time as G.I. Joe the movie. It had been agreed that both movies would suffer the loss of the lead heroes, Optimus Prime and Duke. Production had already begun on G.I. Joe and thus expected to be released first, but during the production of the two films, G.I. Joe was held up and Transformers finished early. Release dates were changed and Transformers got released in 1986. Optimus Prime's death sparked a bunch of controversy because it made John real mad and caused the writers to change Duke's death to a coma. G.I. Joe never got to the theaters and was released to video instead. Transformers killed G.I. Joe the cartoon. Had G.I. Joe been released first, Optimus Prime might have survived.
That's
And
still
now you
wouldn't-
know. And knowing is
Yeah.
half the battle.
Oh, boy.
Come on. Someone had
Damn
to
it.
say it.
Damn it. Damn it.
Did he beat you to it? Are you all right, John? You having a moment?
I'm stuck in my head saying with the whole red lasers, half the battle, red lasers and blue lasers too. So,
All right. Well, what makes the 2007 movie so notable for you? Favorite moments, that kind of stuff. What makes it so notable, Rob?
One of my favorite things about the 2007 movie is actually when the Autobots first come to Earth and they show them for the first time when they're not vehicles. They're raw, naked robots.
Mm-hmm.
So you see them in what is their true form before they transform. And I thought that was great because it shows that when they're not emulating something to hide and blend in with their surroundings, they are just actual robots. So I thought that was really cool. It was one of my favorite scenes. And one of my other favorite things, like I said earlier, was John Turturro's character. I thought his character was awesome, the way he was like trying to be such a badass, but you knew he was just a goofy guy underneath. I mean,
Like he just wasn't that guy.
right. He was trying to put on a front so he could keep his job kind of thing.
Those are good. Anything else?
No, I think those are the two big ones for me. So
John, what about you? What makes it so notable?
Peter Cullen doing the voice was one thing that was pretty big for me. I was surprised that it happened, and I was really happy. The actual look of the Transformers, I don't think they could have done a better job animating those robots. They couldn't have come up with a better way to make them look. It looked awesome. It looked great. They looked amazing. They looked better than anything I could have ever asked for. They did it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
The action's really solid in this, which I guess we should expect that from Michael Bay. That's one thing he really does know how to do is action. And the thing that I liked, it was kind of comforting, was that nearly every character was almost like some cartoon character and to some degree or another. It was fun. They were light, and they're not really, most of the characters are people you don't have to really invest too much time in. You can just enjoy the movie for the spectacle that it is. And of course, Splody, robot smashy smashy.
Boom,
Love
boom.
it.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. And of course, the obligatory Optimus Prime sermon, like sparse throughout the movie several times. Yeah. That's required, apparently.
It is required.
It is required. My favorite was Shia. I mean, I know he gets a lot of grief now. Yes, I think he's one of those actors where I think you're a weird dude, man. I don't know if I'd want to hang out with you, but I definitely would want to go to a party with you. And I love to watch you in movies. I think he's a really good actor and he's fun to watch. But he's probably the guy that will get you arrested if you do go out with him. I don't care. He's fun in this movie. I love him in this movie. I actually like Megan Fox in this. not just for obvious reasons.
No, she was a good choice. I mean, the role wasn't anything that required really serious acting chops for what she was in the movie, but she was a good choice. She fit the bill.
She had some good moments. The moment where she's in the car and she's this is your first year, and he's like, no, we've been going to school. How many classes are we in? We got like 4, and he rattles them off. I thought just moments like that were hysterical. And John already touched it, but the special effects. I love how different each transformation is. Like if you pay attention to the film as they go throughout, if they're transforming they're just to have a conversation, it takes longer, it's more methodical. If it's to action, like it's a jump transformation. I mean, they just have different transformations for different levels of action, I guess. And I love how that aspect of it. I thought that was a very cool aesthetic. And it works great. So I enjoyed that.
One other thing I really, really thought was great was they kept the original style of the sound when they transformed. That kind of noise, that kind of janky sound that they had from the cartoon. Yeah. So I thought that was even in the battle scenes, you could hear all the gunfire and everything, but when they're transforming, like in the big battle scene where Bumblebee comes through and he transforms from the car into his robot form, it's like even with all the gunfire and explosions going on, you still hear that in the background. So it's like they kept true to the characters.
Yeah. And I'm going to give a shout out to Josh Duhamel and Tyrese. I think they were fun. That moment, which I will give you, is not a genius screenwriting, but when they're having that battle and he's trying to get the credit card and he's like, left cheek, left cheek, left cheek. I love that moment. That's a total Michael Bay moment because it's absurd and it doesn't make sense, but it was great.
Or the telephone guy wanting him to change his package so he has more international minutes. Yeah,
it's so racist.
The call center dude.
It's so randomly racist. I liked it. So what no longer works? Now, I will be the first to say that I love this movie. I am back and forth on the other movie. It's kind of like where the odd ones are the ones that I like and the even ones I hate. Where do you guys sit on what doesn't work in this movie, and how do you feel about the other movies, Rob?
Honestly, I can't really think of anything that doesn't really work in this movie. Well, except for one thing. During part of the big battle scene, there's a part where they're trying to get the Allspark cube safe, and random machines transform into robots. So you've got like this Mountain Dew machine that it's just a Mountain Dew pop machine. How does it become a robot that the Allspark gives life? It doesn't necessarily give you all the things that are required for you to become a robot. Okay, so it might bring this Mountain Dew machine to life, but it's not going to suddenly sprout arms and legs because it doesn't have the components that it would require for those. And like there was a toaster oven that went crazy. Somebody was carrying it, got arms, and that was about the only thing I could criticize for this movie. That and the fact that Megatron didn't retain the cool gun form that he had in the cartoons.
Oh, the pistol? Was he a pistol, right?
Yeah, he was a pistol with a big scope on it. It was like Dirty Harry's gun.
And in this, he just didn't want to transfer because he's too arrogant. Right? He's like, I'm not changing for you bitches. All right, I'm on Earth. Here, worship me.
Right.
Well, he didn't have time to transform into anything. He basically crash landed on Earth, got frozen. They had him frozen in that bunker, and then he came out, and then 5 minutes later, he's fighting everybody. So he didn't have time to sit there and go, maybe I should hide. No, he was just like, no, I'm here.
Here I am.
I'm here to redecorate the house. Jonathan. Let's go.
Mom and Dad. They're such a mom and dad.
Oh, stay on my path. Don't get off my path. Are you walking on my grass?
Such a dad thing. Johnny, what about you? What doesn't work for you? Anything?
There's quite a few things that they work in the movie itself, but if I were to choose to watch the movie again and fresh and brand new, I wouldn't like it. Like Sam and his family are kind of aggravating just because they are cartoon characters. For this movie itself, it works, but for something new and fresh, I don't think it does work very well. I don't like the idea that there's a MacGuffin that everyone's got to go after and get and take someplace else. And I'm tired of MacGuffins. It's always got to be a MacGuffin. I'm tired of it. Let's do a different kind of story. Each robot had its own personality, which was cool, but they kind of overdid those personalities and made me a little crazy. Like, why did Jazz have to be so overtly whatever Jazz was?
Yeah, whatever that was.
He was a Pontiac. That's what he was.
Yeah. Is that what Pontiacs are like? All right. I didn't get like you get introduced to every single one of these robots, and what is it? Ironhide, my master at arms, and he's like, I'm going to shoot the Chihuahua because you're infested with rodents. What? That's a little overdone. Ratchet, my medical officer. The boy has high pheromones. I think he wants to mate with that chick. Come on, man. Really?
It's funny though.
It's funny. It's funny, but it's overdone. It is kind of childish and weird to me.
Well, they were trying to appeal to a multi-generational audience.
They sure were.
So they had to get the jokes for the 12-year-old boys in there. Come on.
You know what? But Shia made that work. I mean, the way that he reacts makes that work. I think.
Yeah, he totally makes it work. I mean, the movie works. Those are just things that the person that I am now versus the person I am when I watched this, I don't appreciate it as much anymore because I kind of want something more sophisticated at this point.
Well, la-di-da-di-da.
Do you happen to have any Grey Poupon?
Right, you're so fancy.
Let me go to my movie theater. I'll let you know.
My biggest thing was the glasses. I just thought that was a silly plot device. It really was. I'm like, so the location is somehow etched onto his glasses that he just happens to sell on eBay. Like, there's so many coincidental things. It's just one of those. It's a movie moment. You got to go, okay. It makes no sense, but sure. All right.
Yeah, the movie kind of had MacGuffin on top of MacGuffin on top of MacGuffin.
Yeah, it had a lot of MacGuffin. It sounds like a McDonald's order, doesn't it?
It's a Scottish movie.
Now I want to ask like a serious question in terms of the sequels. Okay, so the first movie was well received. People, I think, genuinely love it, and the movies still make a ton of money. So it's not like nobody's going to see them. The fans still like them because it's a big rock'em sock'em robot movie. They like that. But the diehard fans, the longtime Transformers fans, and John, you can answer first because you should have an answer to this question.
Like immediately,
like without thinking. A lot of diehard fans get irritated as the movies go on because of what? Why are they so irritated? Why, as the movies have gone on, they have become increasingly irritated with Michael Bay and how he's doing them?
I think it actually has nothing to do with Transformers.
Okay.
The reason why is because as a diehard fan of Transformers, and I see the progression of how Transformers go, there's a level of like obvious jokes that they keep on screwing up in the Transformers movies. And they keep on trying to do this whole cartoon character thing in the Transformers movies. Whereas if we look over at what our other loves are, which is like Marvel and Star Wars and all this other stuff, we're seeing much more sophisticated, much better storytelling happening. And it's an honest story versus chasing after one thing to go take care of something with cartoon characters.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So, these are more like, to put it like in a TV kind of thing, these are more like the creature of the week or the bad guy of the week type movie.
Yeah, procedurals.
As opposed to a long drawn out serial where you have an overarching storyline.
Absolutely. And they're talking about this idea of they want to do a shared universe starting with Transformers, and yet they've given us nothing so far to lead to that. And going back to the jokes bit, there is in the movie where Devastator is climbing up the side of the pyramid, John Turturro is standing underneath the two dangling wrecking balls, and they're clinging back and forth. And you kind of say to yourself, that's funny. That's actually kind of hysterical because those are his testicles, right? Mm-hmm. And then this is something actually Aaron gives me a hard time for because I will do this sort of thing on purpose to people, but I will
testicles.
I will ruin a joke when I can because I think sometimes ruining the joke is funnier than the actual joke itself. And John Turturro looks at him and says, "You can fire. I am directly underneath the robot's testicles." And if he wouldn't have said that, it would have made the whole thing funnier.
It's too forced.
Yes.
Right.
Like the rapid robots in the second. Was it the second one?
Second one. Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you? How was
the exact
ACLA,
same movie?
How was the racist police not calling you and knocking on your door and taking you to movie jail?
I mean, Michael Bay did the same thing that Spielberg did in which one of the Star Wars movie, not Spielberg, Lucas did in the Star Wars movies, where the members of the Senate, these guys sounded like Jar Jar Binks. He was like a Jamaican style guy, and there was the one people in the Senate that sounded like they were Asian, and it's like how did the politically correct police not get involved in this when you have these two robots that are
they weren't as vocal then. They didn't have the internets as
right.
high
They
profile.
didn't have the internet to vent their daily anger.
The social justice warriors hadn't figured out just how well Tumblr works.
They're going to start going backwards because they're running out of other stuff. You're like, well, we're running out of Pepsi commercials, so we're just going to go back and we're going to take on Michael Bay movies.
That's right.
And
We're
George
doing
Lucas.
Retroactive social justice.
We're going to retcon social justice. That's funny. Well, my thing with the movies, and I have gotten to the point where I'm not going to another one unless they do what I want them to do, which I'm not talking about until we get to that part. But I feel like every movie is exactly the same. Every movie has been exactly the same. I agree with John. Way too many on-the-nose jokes and juvenile humor. Not like I'm fine with just cheap and funny and dad jokes every now and then, but it's a lot of just juvenile stuff that just doesn't work, or they force it, like we were talking about. And every movie feels exactly the same. I don't feel like I'm getting anything new. The last movie had Dinobots, and it should have been, holy crap.
Amazing.
It should have been, holy crap, there's Dinobots.
Yeah.
But instead it was, there's Dinobots.
Instead, it's Mark Wahlberg and his underage daughter, and there's some kind of
and the robotic friends.
creepy jokes. Yeah, it's just weird. I legitimately like Dark of the Moon. Is that the third one? Dark Side of the Moon?
Dark of the Moon. They couldn't call it Dark Side of the Moon because
that's Pink Floyd.
Somebody got mad. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I like that one. So it's kind of like a Star Trek thing where it's a certain numbered ones, odds and evens. Odds are better than evens, apparently.
Was there a MacGuffin in the third one?
Isn't there a MacGuffin in all of them?
Well, there is a MacGuffin in the first one because the cube and the glasses are the MacGuffins, and then in the second one there is a MacGuffin because they're looking for the matrix of leadership.
I don't remember what it would have been in the third one.
I don't remember. See, I can't remember the plots of any movie except the first one.
Right, and that's the big issue is that they're great fun to go watch for dumb action, but they're not memorable.
They aren't,
because it's basically the same thing over and over again. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I remember the first one. That's all I need to remember, and that's the only one that stuck with you because at the time it was great. I mean, it was like, this was a great movie. They did a great job, and I think that's the problem that we have with a lot of movies that do sequels is I remember the first movie great because it was something new and different, and you do the second one, it's the same thing. Okay.
With worse jokes.
Or worse situations.
And racist robots.
Hey, don't get down on the Abonobots.
Then you got the fourth one, which I never thought I like Mark Wahlberg, but I never thought I'd be like, man, but you're no Shia. But that's how I felt.
Wow.
I was watching the movie, you're no Shia LaBeouf, man. You're just not.
He didn't have the same sort of chemistry with Bumblebee that Shia did.
He didn't. No.
This is true. And to be honest, I only made it through about an hour of the last movie before I was like, yeah, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, if I wouldn't have been in a theater, I would have left.
Yeah, see, I wasn't in a theater. I was at home.
I enjoyed the action stuff. I mean, it was enjoyable, but man, yeah, I'm not. Wasn't loving it.
I could get past the whole thing with the daughter in that one.
So weird.
Retroactively, when I was rewatching the first one, I was like, oh my God, Megan Fox is actually supposed to be in high school in this movie.
Right.
I'm sure she's not in high school when she's filming this.
She's only 30 right now, man. She's only 30 years old.
So she was 20 when this movie, 19 or 20 when
student
this movie.
She was probably 19 when they filmed it.
Right.
So she's just out of high school.
But
yeah, so
you're safe.
Yeah, but they were supposed to be like sophomores because he got his first car.
Yeah, sophomore.
No,
junior.
they were actually juniors.
Were they juniors?
Yeah, they mentioned that in the movie. It's his junior year, so he's going to get his car. So, when I was watching this one, and I was suddenly reminded as to how irritated I was about the whole daughter situation with the 16-year-old girl. And I was just disappointed in myself for 30-year-old me really enjoying Megan Fox in that movie.
Well, yes, but at the time you weren't 30 years old when you first saw it.
No, he was 30, I think is what he was saying.
When you first saw it?
When I first saw the first movie, I was 30.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood what you said. Sorry.
We should probably just move on because this is starting to creep me out.
Yeah, it's
all right.
Creepy. Should I bring out the voice?
Don't. Should this movie... Okay, should we have more sequels or should they reboot the franchise? That's how I'm going to put this. Or is Transformers and Don't Touch status?
I think they could get away with a reboot. And actually they could get away with a reboot and they could go a totally different direction and it'd still be fine.
Okay. Johnny?
I'm all about the reboot. Let's get a whole new director, a whole new story, something completely different. If you guys want a shared universe from Transformers, it's time to scrap what we got and start from the beginning all over again.
And get Michael Bay making other movies. You're a good director, man. You're probably a great director. Bad Boys 3, I'm just saying, I'm still waiting.
Keep waiting.
All right, well, we have one more clip from the original Transformers.
Are you Samuel James Witwicky, descendant of Archibald Witwicky?
Yeah?
My name is Optimus Prime. We are autonomous robotic organisms from the planet Cybertron. But you can call us Autobots for short.
Autobots.
What's cracking, little bitches? My first lieutenant. Designation Jazz. This looks like a cool place to kick it.
What is that? How do you learn to talk like that?
We've learned Earth's languages through the World Wide Web. My weapons specialist, Ironhide. You feeling lucky, punk? Easy, Ironhide.
Just kidding. I just wanted to show him my cannons.
Our medical officer, Ratchet. The boy's pheromone levels suggest he wants to mate with the female. You already know your guardian, Bumblebee.
Check on the rep. Yep, second and none.
So you're my guardian, huh?
His vocal processes were damaged in battle. I'm still working on them.
Okay, and technically it's not the original Transformers, because that would be the cartoon movie. And I don't want you to be writing a letter. So there you go.
As far as movies go.
As far as live action film, it's the first one.
Yes.
Now, here's what we know about the upcoming remake. All right, it's the fifth movie, but it's pretty much a remake of the last movie. Humans are at war with the Transformers, and Optimus Prime is gone. The key to saving the future lies buried in the secrets of the past and the hidden history of Transformers on Earth. Now it's up to the unlikely alliance of Cade Yeager, that's a cool name, Bumblebee, an English lord who's played by Anthony Hopkins, and an Oxford professor to save the world.
Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Sir Anthony Hopkins, sorry. And apparently they're gonna have going back to King Arthur's court or something. I alluded to Johnny. You saw the trailer. What is that? What they're doing?
It looks like it. I don't know. I'm frightened. I'll probably take the bullet for the show and go see the movie, but I'm terrified of what it actually is.
Is it King Arthur's court, or is it?
It looks like
King
King Arthur's
that
court.
say neat.
I don't know which it is. Don't know. Well, since this is a property we love, and as fans, we always like to think we know the best way to do everything. How should Hollywood reboot this franchise? All selections for our remake are settled by a best of 3 vote. Each host receives 1 cut per episode. They can use it whenever they want. If they're extremely passionate about an idea, don't use it just to be funny. Use it for something you're passionate about. Just yell cut, and we have to go your direction if you don't like the way we're going. Now, we're each going to throw out our particular pitch, and then we're going to try and mold together, figure out what we like the most, and come up with one cohesive movie. Everybody understand all these rules?
Yeehaw.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Who's ready to go first?
I'm not ready to go first. I want to hear how you guys do this
All
first.
right, Johnny, why don't you go first? What is your
All
pitch
right.
for how you would redo Transformers?
Come on, super fan.
Yeah, super
All right.
fan, dazzle us.
Hold on to your butts because I have some words written down here.
Okay. Oh, you can't
words.
read. You can't read.
Well, there might not actually be words then. They might just be scribbles.
Is it hieroglyphics? What are you doing?
It could be pictograms. You never can tell with me.
You're just looking at the funny papers again, aren't you?
I probably drew them myself. That's how I work. Okay. I want this to be more or less a world like we live in now. So we have your normal company is doing the normal average thing. Some of them are making money the right way. Some of them are making money by just tearing up the environment, by eating up resources, all that such. Mm-hmm. And there's a special task force. Don't know if it's government, don't know if it's private, but this special task force is busy investigating what's going on with these companies and their practices. And they start to unravel what's going on and come to find out that all these little companies more or less big companies are funneling their money and resources into one company called Decon. And
Oh yeah, no, it's decon.
Is it decon?
Yeah.
Oh, it's rat poison.
It's rat poison.
Transforming rat poison.
Making it safe for you and your family.
Sorry.
I didn't know it was a rat poison. I was just coming up with something catchy.
It's okay. Now we've got brand recognition.
Tie in.
That's going to be a Happy Meal, buddy.
An analyst starts digging up this information. That's when the Decepticons strike first with a virus to kind of hide their whole thing. So the Decepticons are using these companies and their employees to make energon. They're actually turning every bit of Earth's resources into energon so they can send it back to Cybertron. If you remember from the cartoons, energon was always the thing that the Autobots and Decepticons were working with. That was that's how they eat. That's how they power themselves. And the reason why the Decepticons are doing this is that in the battle to take Cybertron from the Autobots, they destroyed a lot of the resources and resource-making capabilities at the time for Cybertron. So that's why the Decepticons are out killing resources from other worlds.
Somebody pulled heavily from the original cartoons.
That's good.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Sam Witwicky. We're going to use Sam again, but this time
you're bringing Sam back. That would still have to be Shia then. Oh, we can't cast yet, but I'm just saying.
Shh. Hold on.
All right.
Sam works with her dad, and they are a spelunking crew. They map out tunnels and charts and caverns and aquifers and that sort of thing. She's got a background in because her father was very much turned her into a tomboy. She's got a military kind of background, but she does this now that she's out of the military. And she's adventuring through this, doing research in this cave system in the Rockies or something. And she gets distracted by whatever. Okay. She falls into an aquifer, swims her way out. She's swimming to light in the middle of these caves, which doesn't make sense to her. And she sees, when she comes out of the water, a spaceship, and it has robots that are just basically walking to her. And that's how she meets the actual Autobots. All right.
Okay.
I'm almost done, I swear.
No, it's good, man. It's good.
So from the Autobots, we find out that Optimus does his whole exposition rant about the telling the story about the Autobots and Decepticons and why they're here at Earth. They're on Earth because when the Decepticons took over Cybertron, the Autobots got scattered to the winds, and they're all over the universe trying to find a home to make their own again, and also protect the world that they're in from other things that they need protecting from. But they don't want to be known because, of course, Earth being what it is, we're not very kind to aliens. Now, going back to this task force, they decide that they are going to go after the Decon company, and let's just call them Mobile Armored Strike Command, and they're led by Matt Tracker. Anyone recognize those names?
Matt Tracker? No.
All right.
Is it like Matt Damon?
The Mobile Armored Strike Command sounds familiar, but I can't remember what it's from.
Is that from G.I. Joe?
It's actually from a different cartoon called Mask.
Oh yeah, Mask.
Yes.
Wow, okay. Mask.
And Matt Tracker was the leader of Mask. So
look at you.
This is how I'm building a universe here.
I guess.
This is they're really armed. This is like when we first meet Shield. It's just like whatever they call themselves, and it's Greg Clark's character. And this is kind of like that, but it's Matt Tracker. You don't know anything.
Clark Gregg, yes.
Clark Gregg.
Agent Coulson.
It's his own fault. But they make a move on the Decon company, and that's when they send out their forces to go against this team, and their forces are losing to Matt Tracker's team. That's when they send out the Decepticons, and it becomes a big news thing. And that's how the Autobots find out the Decepticons have been on Earth this entire time, and that's when they move in the action. And then basically, what I'm talking about is a war flick.
Okay. So
that's my feeling. That's where I am sort of with the story.
All right. I like it. All right. Let's hear the other two. You or me, Rab?
I'll go.
Okay.
All right. So, like John, I pulled heavily from the cartoons. I would have the movie start out more like the original and start out on Cybertron.
Okay.
With the Autobots at war with the Decepticons, and the Autobots are kind of on the losing end of their battle. They're a ragtag group of rebels, basically fighting against the man. The Decepticons are winning the war because they are so heavy-handed, and they've taken over more of the planet's resources, and the resources are running thin, but it's not to the point to where they have to go off-world to find other resources.
Okay.
The Autobots, in my story, being the rebels, have a plan that they sneak into Decepticon territory to steal. I'm going to pull the Allspark from the the 2007 movie. They steal the Allspark. It's not necessarily the all-powerful artifact that they make it out to be in the 2007 movie, but it does have the ability to give inanimate things life.
Okay.
So they sneak in and steal it, and in order to keep it from falling back into the Decepticons' hands, they flee Cybertron. And in their attempt to flee, they're in space and they're opening up like a trans-space warp, whatever you want to call it, warp speed, whatever. And their ship gets hit by fire from the Decepticons, which screws up their navigation, and they just randomly get flung to a far side of the galaxy, which happens to be Earth.
Okay.
And similar to the 2007 movie, they crash in the Arctic Circle and they're buried for ages. No one knows they're there. And in my story, Sam Witwicky is back, and
You just really love the Sam Witwicky.
and also, like John, a female. She's an exobiologist who happens to be running simulations for a planned mission to Europa.
Okay.
And they're similar to John. They're spelunking in caves in the Arctic Circle, and she comes across their crashed ship. And when she touches the Allspark, the warmth from her touch causes it to fire up and causes the rest of the Autobots to.
So it's like a touchscreen?
Yeah, kind of. It's kind of like your Android phone.
Yeah. It's a really fancy Android.
Fancy Android phone. It reawakens the Autobots.
S9.
And when it reawakens the Autobots, the signal from the Allspark also alerts the Decepticons to their
location.
to their location. So the first part of the movie is basically going to be about the Autobots coming to Earth, and then the second part of the movie actually starts where the humans and the Autobots meet, and then the Decepticons show up and all havoc breaks loose.
Okay.
Sam is an exobiologist, and when she's on this mission, she meets up with Michael Baines.
Nice.
Yeah. You like how I did that instead of Michaela Baines? Yeah. So it's even more of a nod to Michael Bay.
It's pretty much just Michael Bay.
Who happens to be a NASA engineer who's been assigned to the project
Europa project.
for Europa, exactly. During their experiments, he's there to oversee all the drilling equipment and things like that, and to test.
He's Harry Stamper.
Yeah, kind of.
Is he the best deep core driller in the world?
Yeah, he's the best deep core driller in the world. So what happens, is after the Autobots are activated and the Decepticons realize that they can now track them, is when you get into the big fight. And like John's, it becomes a war movie with Earth happening to be the backdrop, and our two main characters that we brought back from the 2007 movie being the main human characters in the war.
Interesting. Mine is way simple. So I'm not as fancy as you guys. Basically, Cybertron is under attack. Optimus and his friends have abandoned their planet for so long, because they've been on Earth, that Decepticons have taken over. So Cybertron is overrun by Decepticons, and they are destroying the planet. So much so that Megatron actually teams up with Optimus to bring down the mega baddie, which is Ruination. You remember Ruination?
I do.
Okay. Basically, for people that don't know, it's the combined form of the Commandos, if I remember right, the Decepticons military. Their minds and bodies are kind of like all five come together to make him. And it was Armahide, Moyer, Rollbar, Rotor, and Mega Octane. And they come together and they make this big mega beast, is what it is. And they have to go to Cybertron and take down the mega beast. You would only have to task a few humans for just for the interaction and relatability. But I was really just looking forward to going to Cybertron. That was really my main plan. I wanted a movie that went to Cybertron, because if I don't go to Cybertron at all, I don't want another Transformers movie. It's all Earth every time, Okay, so here's my suggestion, because I like both of your ideas more than mine, which is cool. You guys are both bigger Transformers fans. I like your starting on Cybertron. I like John's on Earth. I think, and they're very similar anyway.
Right.
But I would...
Which is pretty funny.
Yeah, which is pretty funny. I would do it... My suggestion would be to do it similar, but kind of flip it a little bit. Cybertron is maybe... How did yours start again?
That the Cybertron they were at war on Cybertron, and the Autobots were renegades attempting to overthrow the Decepticons.
Okay.
And
Well, how about this? How does this sound? Because I like this idea, but let's try it like this. What if we started the movie where it's my Sam Witwicky spelunking, she falls, she meets the Autobots, and the exposition is it starts with Optimus telling the story, but then we cut the movie over to Cybertron and we see what he's sort of saying, but he's no longer talking. It's all this Rob's part of the movie.
Right, it's a flashback basically.
Extended flashback.
Yeah,
I want a little big chunk of Cybertron.
Yeah, no, that could totally work. I mean, because then it ties both planets in together early on, and you get to go to Cybertron for Aaron, and then we come back to Earth for relatability. That could totally work.
I like my vote is to go with the, what did you call him?
Energon.
Energon, thank you. Because only because I'm sick of the Allspark.
No, yeah,
just to try to do something different. But I like both your ideas because they are very kind of coordinated in a sense.
Great minds think alike.
But I like that company idea. I really like that they're infiltrating the structures of corporations to bring Earth down from the inside.
Obey.
Yeah, obey. They're doing a they live approach.
That's
there
right.
You go. That's what would be my suggestion. I don't know how you guys feel about it. That's what I would do. You start with her falling, then you go Cybertron for Rob's portion of the movie, which I would say maybe is like the first third.
Yeah. In my notes, I actually had it as Act 1 of 3.
There you go. It's Act 1. And you could get her there relatively quickly because people know who the Transformers are. So you don't have to
do all the backstory stuff. Yeah. You can just instantly go to, and he could be in his Optimus Prime preaching voice, and this is how it happened.
Yeah.
Right.
And because of that, the Decepticons had actually found them earlier than we thought, and they're already on Earth and have infiltrated major corporations. Maybe they're trying to find the Autobots, and they're using that as they're going to take over Earth, as well as they need to find the Autobots to take out the rest of them, kind of thing.
2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, I think.
Hey, that could work.
Yeah, where you guys sit?
I like that.
I'm liking a lot of this. So how do we feel about setting down the mask tie-in?
I like that.
No, yeah, I think that works good. And I mean, we could easily say that the mask, the Mobile Armored Strike Command, is the group that the Sam, like either my Sam Witwicky or your Sam Witwicky.
The same Sam Witwicky, it sounds like.
Right. I mean, there's slight differences. I
just
mean,
doesn't look like Shia, apparently.
Right.
No,
not anymore. More like Megan Fox.
Yeah. So I mean, that could totally work.
Yeah, I'm all about it. I think this works. I think we have a cohesive movie. Do we or do we not?
Too.
I think we do.
Well, that was a lot easier than I thought.
That's what happens when you have 2 people who happen to really like Transformers.
This is why they can crank out 14 of them.
Right.
Huh? Yeah.
It's because people like John and I are like, yeah, okay.
Arguably, though, our story is still better than anything Transformers has done.
No, this is true.
Wow.
The chimps Michael Bay's got working for him are probably going to listen to this and be like, hey,
why didn't we think of that?
My question would be so you have the middle act where that kind of explains how they've already infiltrated corporations, they're after Autobots, and they come to know that each other exists, so there's a war coming. How are you going to do that war? Because this is a big question for me, because we've seen tons of robot battles. Is there anything that you guys would do that's unique that hasn't been already done in your mind?
Instead of them coming at each other, where you actively see them coming at each other, I have it pictured in my head like the guys from Mobile Armored Strike Command are coming down the street and they're getting into another fight because they don't have any idea, with the exception of they've already ran into Decepticons at this point. They don't have any idea that there's any possibility of more. So they're coming down the street and the fight starts breaking out and they're sort of kind of holding their own. And then the tide of the battle starts to break a little bit in the Decepticons' direction, as in that they're winning. And then that's when everything around you that you thought was just an innocuous vehicle or something else just stands up and becomes an Autobot, and they've been there the whole time.
Right. They were just biding their time, waiting for an opportune moment to strike.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
Could have that so where it wouldn't just necessarily be, they could do like one of those big pan off scenes where in the city where the fight's going on, the Autobots reveal themselves, and then suddenly all over the planet, wherever they happen to be hiding, they reveal themselves and head towards the fight.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you'd have like Toyota Yaris in Japan suddenly transforms into a robot and takes off.
Kicks the owner out.
That's right. Tomo arigato. So sorry. Boom, and off he goes.
All right, I would pay money to watch that. Michael Bay, do that scene. Just do that one scene.
Just do that one scene. That's all we're asking.
That's fantastic. All right, I think we got a movie. You know what? I would like something where we have a space battle of sorts. It's great that we're going to have Cybertron. I hope we would have a Cybertron battle.
Well,
obviously, because it would be a fight. But we know that they would lose. They would have to lose.
If we use the combination of John and I's stories, mine has a space battle in it. That's how they end up on Earth, is because they get damaged during a space battle.
Right.
Yeah.
So they could enter their hyperspace or whatever you want to call it, and the Decepticons could have followed right after them.
Yeah, that works. I like this. This all came together nicely. It's easier than most of them. Usually there's somebody that's fighting at some point. Somebody throw out a cut. I want this to be GoBots. Don't make me cut
we
you.
haven't cast it yet.
That's true.
That's true.
Well, there's really not a whole lot of people to cast. I mean, they're all mostly just robots.
Yeah, well, I only have 2 people actually cast in mind. The rest are disposables.
Now officially we have Sam Witwicky, the female, and we have Matt Tracker, basically, are the main 2. So I think. And you could make him a NASA engineer, too.
You could. I mean, well...
Then you have everybody's connected. Everybody's happy.
Well,
he's a scientist.
He's a
He is
scientist already. So
yeah, there you go. Boom. Problem solved.
Problem solved.
All right. Well, who should direct this masterpiece? It's Michael Bay?
Christopher Nolan.
Oh, you want a dark version?
I want it's a dark, gritty war pick.
Matt Reeves.
Ooh, Matt Reeves.
Man, I kind of like both of them. I really do. I was thinking Ryan Johnson. That's who I was thinking. He did Looper.
Oh, wow. Those are 3 solid choices.
Those are 3 solid choices. All right, so we're going to Rochambeau this?
Yeah. We can either vote or somebody can yell cut. It's up to you guys.
I say we vote. Let's keep this very nice and simple.
All right. Let's go around. Who's willing to compromise? I
can concede Christopher Nolan for your choice. I think
Ryan Johnson?
Ryan Johnson, yeah, because I think Looper was a solid, and it still had that dark feel to it. Because it wasn't all kittens and rainbows.
The reason why I liked him, I like both yours. Christopher Nolan is great. He makes him a little longer sometimes.
He's a proven
more serious.
He's a proven serious action kind of guy. I actually chose him because he's one of my favorite directors because of Memento.
Yeah, well, man.
Which is also a dark
Transformers with Memento style. Optimus wakes up,
tattooed,
and he has to go around.
Can't remember where he's from. Has to look at a bunch of Polaroids.
Why do I look so different from everybody else? This is so weird.
Wait, is this me at Chi-Chi's?
I really want to see that version of the movie now. And Matt Reeves is a really good director, but he's more of a loose and fun. But he's great with special effects too, man. So
yeah, he does the fantastical and grounded at the same time.
But I'm kind of sold on mine just because he does smart science fiction.
Yeah, and
I'm gonna say Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, there we go.
Sweet.
Aaron wins.
I like it. I got something. Since my whole movie can't be on Cybertron, I can want it. All right, now our 2 characters. You got Matt and Sam Witwicky, who is now a female, so it can no longer be Shia unless,
it could be. I mean,
it could be.
He's a pretty talented guy. He could probably pull it off somehow.
He could. Who do you guys want?
I have Emily Blunt as Sam Witwicky.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
Because she's a solid action and dramatic actress,
and not just a young hottie.
Right. Well, don't get me wrong. She's gorgeous.
But she's not there just for visual
right. She's not
appeal.
there just for visual appeal. She's actually got good acting
talented.
chops, and she's a proven winner when it comes to both dramatic and action style movies.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow was fantastic. I mean, that's sci-fi. That's action. I mean, so
I was going to go with Haley Bennett.
I'm not familiar with who that is.
She was in the Girl on a Train, right? With
she was on Girl on a Train with.
She's on Ridiculous
Emily
7.
Okay, so I have not seen Girl on a Train, and I haven't watched Ridiculous 7.
She's younger. No, she's probably a good 10, 15 years younger. So she's the younger Sam Witwicky version.
Gotcha. Okay.
Man, I kind of really like Emily Blunt on that one.
Yeah, I kind of like it too.
I do. Yeah. All right. Well,
she was actually going to be my first choice, but then I was like, let's go with somebody new.
Well, see, I looked
established.
At it. I went for somebody with a solid track record who I thought would be able to pull off a role that required somebody to have that kind of presence. I mean, because my character was an exobiologist, so you don't want like, you know, some 25-year-old. They're not going to be an exobiologist for NASA.
Right.
It seems like a lot of school.
It's a whole lot of school.
All right, so how about Matt Reeves? Or was it not Matt Reeves? Matt
Reeves.
Matt Tracker.
Matt Tracker. Who did you have, John? That was your idea. So who did you have in mind?
Sorry. Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman.
Ooh.
Solid choice.
Man, I'm sold.
Yeah. I had Timothy Oliphant as my Michael Baines.
I love Tim and just about everything he does, but I'm going to go with Chadwick on this one.
I agree. I didn't even think about Chadwick.
Unless he wears Justified's hat, then maybe we can.
Then we can talk. Yeah. Well, no, I thought, I mean, I'll justify why I chose him.
You'll justify.
See what I did there? I thought he kind of has that gritty look to him because of the series. And he's kind of got that swagger down. And I thought that was the type of character who I'd want to be playing opposite of Emily Blunt's character, somebody who was a little bit more haggard, a little more road worn, I guess, is how I pictured it.
Yeah, no, I get that.
But Chadwick Boseman, that's a great choice.
He's a great actor.
Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Boom.
Thank you.
Locked and loaded. All right, well, we've got that. We've got a director, we've got a cast, we've got a movie. Any nostalgic moments that you want, either from the cartoon or the film that you want in the reboot? It's like little moments or nods that you think, you know what, I got to have that in my movie.
I'd still like to see Megatron transform into a pistol.
I would take a cannon at the very least.
Oh, cannon. Some sort of projectile style weapon. Yeah, rather than just being a robot. I'd like to actually see him transform and be in the form he was in the cartoons.
I could dig that. I'd be fine with that. I want a Camaro.
Oh,
I want a Camaro too.
I do. Those cars are bitching, man. I can't help it. Like I see one, I'm like, let me have it.
I will tell you this, having driven one, I don't know if either of you have ever driven one. The blind spots in those things are absolutely horrendous.
They do suck. The new ones are supposed to take care of that a little bit more, but yeah, those are terrible.
Yeah, I had the unfortunate circumstance of renting one of those when I was in California on a business trip because normally I rent Dodge Challengers, which is my favorite new old car, and they were out, so they gave me the Camaro, and I couldn't see a damn thing.
Well, if you're going fast enough, you don't need to.
Well, right, yeah. Who needs mirrors? Who needs windows?
But I got to tell you, those cars are so specific now, especially like the last few years, and they've been so prominent in Transformers movies, that whenever they show up, because Hawaii Five-0 has them all the time.
You're always waiting for it to transform.
I keep waiting for it to transform. I'm like, Dano, that car's going to transform. And it never does.
You know,
it's very disappointing.
From the 2007 movie, I don't remember which characters they were specifically, but a couple of them turned into really big GMC trucks.
Ironhide.
Was it Ironhide? Man, that truck in that movie, you know, I'd love to see that truck back.
Really?
Because it was like, you know, it was like a GMC 4500 series, big monster pickup truck that wasn't actually like a monster truck that you'd think of. It was just a really big truck, and it looked really rugged and aggressive. So,
and we need some machines that are different. We need jet skis, maybe. We need some snowmobiles. I don't know, just a few more different machines. We're gonna be in the Arctic, have a snowmobile that turns
snowcats
into
and snowmobiles and right, exactly.
Just go crazy, especially if it's going around the world.
Right.
We need a Autobots rollout moment.
Oh yeah, of course. Yes. There has to be. You know, at some point, Optimus Prime or whoever happens to be leading in this movie has to say, "Autobots roll out."
How many sermons does Optimus have to do in this? Is there a limit? I don't know what the rules are.
I think there's at least a 2 sermon minimum.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like going to a bar. It's a 2 sermon minimum.
All right. Well, we got one more clip, but this time it's going to be from the cartoon movie, Transformers.
One shall stand, one shall fall. Why throw away your life so recklessly? That's a question you should ask yourself, Megatron. No! I'll crush you with my bare hands!
Now we're back, and now you're going to hear the final pitch. Now that's where we do our parody remake trailer, brought to you by the vocal stylings of Wayne Henderson from MediaVoiceovers.com. Please tell us what the hell we just came up with so we know what we're going to see when it eventually hits theaters, probably the same weekend as the new Transformers sequel comes out.
Number 14.
Yeah, we're just going to rival it. Screw it. So here's Wayne Henderson telling you about our new movie. And if I had to bet, this trailer is more than meets the eye.
Training for a mission to Europa, exobiologist Sam Witwicky makes the Arctic discovery of a lifetime. Alien life forms have been found on this planet. Now that they're awake, an awful truth has also been revealed. Many of them are already here. A war erupted on their home planet of Cybertron, a battle between two factions, the Autobots and the Decepticons. This war ravaged on and depleted their very life force. They discovered that a faraway planet known as Earth could replenish these resources. The Decepticons then arrived and assimilated themselves into corporations and modern machines. Every machine the human race has come to rely on to survive. Their deep freeze initially foiled the Autobots' plan to save the humans. But now the Autobots have awoke, and along with Sam, will team up with Matt Tracker's Mobile Armored Strike Command. And this time, they are preparing. Another war has arrived, and this time, it's coming to Earth. Next summer, prepare for a metamorphosis as director Rian Johnson reimagines a timeless franchise. Transformers.
Thank you.
Woo! Yes.
Wow, you blew your mic out for that one. Good job.
Me or him?
Both of you, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Red zone, baby.
It did. It clipped the hell out. All right. Well, that's
You're too hot.
Again, Wayne Henderson. You can find him at mediavoiceovers.com. This is where we close the show out. We have concocted the best Transformers movie that's ever going to come out. It'll probably never see the light of day, but we know it's the best. Now, where can people find you, Rob?
Oh, they can find me at on Facebook, on Twitter, wandering aimlessly through the wilds of the world.
What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is the Urban Squatch.
Please explain.
Nice.
I'm a runner, and in the running groups that I'm in, I've got the nickname Sasquatch because I try to avoid the cameras for the pictures, and when I don't avoid them, most of the pictures turn out blurry. So
I thought it was because you're big and hairy.
Well, that's a given.
Okay.
But
I'm just saying that seems the quickest.
That seems the
attachment.
quickest, but it was actually my running group. Yeah, my running group gave me the nickname because that, and I also tend to run in the trails a lot, so I'm
There
out
you
in the
go.
woods.
Follow Rob on Twitter. Follow Rob on Twitter and all the other places.
Instagram, Facebook.
all the Urban Squatch.
That's right, all the Urban Squatch.
And Johnny?
You can find me on the Instagrams, Facebooks, and the YouTubes at rjohn.draws or some variation like that. You can follow. You can see what I do as far as when I'm not talking about movies and television, and writing third chair in the Hollywood Outsider.
Wow. Third chair. I thought you were second chair.
I'm third chair.
Didn't we promote you? I mean, did we demote Scott? We're going to find out if he listens to this. Just kidding.
I had nothing to do with this.
Scott has a chair? I thought he was given a bucket.
Ooh.
He has to sit in the middle like when you're riding in a van. They give you the bucket to sit on.
Oh, he's going to be so mad at us. All right, guys. Well, you can always find these episodes every other week for Remake This Movie Right. Remember, if you did like the show, please go to iTunes, or I'm sorry, it's Apple Podcasts now. They just changed the name. They rebranded.
Wow.
So Apple Podcasts. And be sure to give us a review because it does help the podcast get found. Please share the show on your social media outlets, whatever they are. And if you follow us on Twitter, we're at Remake Right. At Remake Right. Our email is remakethismovieright@gmail.com. Website is remakethismovieright.com. And we have a group on Facebook. Please share it on Reddit or whatever you use. Just take the post, share it on there. That's how it gets out. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys for coming by and concocting some Transforming.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right. Autobots roll out. The credits have rolled on this remake, but be sure to come back for our next one. Remember that every film you love will get a reboot someday, and only you can remake that movie right.